Since the 28th of February, the UAE has sustained significant drone and missile attacks from Iran. The US State Department has been telling Americans to leave. Missile strikes have hit Dubai. Airports have shut down. BA yesterday said they were stopping flights until midsummer. And yet companies are still hiring right now, offering salaries that are 40, 50, hey, sometimes 100% more than people are getting in their home market, zero tax. So the question is, and a lot of people have been asking me this, because we have moved a lot of people to that region over the last few years. A lot of people want to go. Everyone's asking, what should I do? Should I go? Should I not? I can't answer the question for you, but I can give you some advice about, based on what other people are talking to me about and what I'm seeing in the market. So in the next 12 minutes, I'll break that down. I'll share a couple of stories of people that are moving, that have decided not to, and just some of the things to think about and how you can go about thinking about it. So maybe let's kick off with why is everyone talking about the UAE? And the last few years, it has been an incredible place. They have been growing their economy. They've been focusing on building things out. They've been increasing their population size. Companies there have wanted to hire from all over the world. And it's been very interesting because an awful lot of people have wanted to move there. And this is really interesting. You can see the economy's been growing, workforce has been growing, hiring's been growing. Everything is trending in the right direction. And this is like 2025. And if you look at this as well, just compare this to the rest of the world. This is from 2025. I did a video on this last year, and you can see the UAE and India, and I'll put the USA, UK, China, Eurozone. In terms of GDP growth, in terms of hiring, I mean, UAE next to India have been leading the world in the terms of new jobs. And so a lot of people have wanted to move there, build their career there. Money's great, really safe. And there's just been a lot of positive momentum, a lot of investment, building out data centers, moving away from oil and all of this kind of stuff. Their private sector workforce grew 12.4% in 25, and it's projected, and let's see, to grow even more. 1.1, just over 1 million new jobs by 2030. And that's in construction, energy, tech, fintech. You know, all of these sectors have been booming. And then the war started in Iran, and people have now suddenly been extremely cautious. There have been missiles, there have been drones, and people then have to decide for themselves whether they want to relocate to the region, to the UAE, whether they want to stay in the UAE and relocate somewhere else. 95% of the population in the UAE are immigrant from other parts of the world. So very huge expat community there. So these are the things that people have been thinking about. They've been talking to me about and thinking through, like, what should I do? And pre 26, so end of 25, some key reasons that people have been moving is, as you've seen, a lot of other countries, the hiring was subdued, difficult to get that next leadership role, hard to get that salary increase, a lot of kind of social unrest in different countries. And the UAE offers career progression, opportunity, a lot of hiring, tax-free money, a lot of safety, and just people have been going from the UK, from all over the world. It's been a really interesting place to go. Salaries have been exceptional, and it has moved from maybe, you know, you could argue 10 years ago, you know, second-rate market. Now it is a legitimate place to build your career, and many people are choosing to build their careers there. So it's incredible. So the elephant in the room right now, as we come into, you know, the end of Feb, so 28th of Feb, when things kicked off, and carrying on now, is should you move? Like, what's happening? Everyone's saying, well, is it going to stop? Is it dying down? I speak to people in the UAE, living there with families, living there on their own, and they're like, it's fine, no problem. You know, others a bit more nervous, and I don't think anyone quite knows really, when it's going to end, what's going to happen. And, in the UAE itself, they have some mandatory shelter-in-place drills going on. When missile alerts come in, they're being told to avoid open spaces, step away from windows. A lot of banks like HSBC, Citi, some other big companies I've spoken to have told their staff to work from home, and some major infrastructure are being hit by drones and stuff. So, it's very much in and amongst this conflict that is going on right now. Many governments are telling people to leave. Some people can't get out of the country. Flights are being stopped. And it's just kind of a very changing situation, let's say. So let me just give you some perspectives from people around the world that I've spoken to. And so you're thinking about, you want to go there. You want to, maybe you're interviewing, maybe you're halfway through an interview process and you're thinking, should I still continue? Should I still apply? So I think the real answer is it depends. And I'll show you two examples from people I've spoken to, and I'll recount their stories, and I'll take their names out and company and change the industry a bit, just to give you a kind of sense of what other people are thinking about. So I was speaking to one person. They're a senior tech leader based in Hong Kong right now, married, young child, stable job, respected company, doing really well. But they found this role in the UAE, represented a step up, better pay, tax-free, always wanted to go to the UAE and build a life and career out there. So it was exactly what they were looking for. Company mission, growth trajectory, money, excellence, etc. But here's the thing, he was nervous. And, he called me up and he said, hey, what do you think? Should I go? I'm seeing a lot of, reports, and you're reading the news, obviously, or, down a social media rabbit hole of all the uncertainty, evacuation, missiles, drones. What do you do? And so he was like, look, I don't want to ignore the risk. I see it. But this person genuinely believes buys into the long-term fundamentals of the Gulf states, of where the UAE is heading. He felt it's really positive, an incredible amount of investment going on in all parts of the economy. He felt the conflict would end soon, didn't know when. So he felt, yes, there's a short-term uncertainty for him. He felt the career move, the financial upside, the safety records internally was really positive. He had a few friends that moved, and for him, that outweighed the current moment. So he moved, and it's interesting, his reasoning, right? So he wasn't betting that the war won't happen. He was betting on the long-term direction of the UAE economy and accepting the short-term uncertainty as a trade-off. Really personal for him, his decision. He had to think through it and do what was best for him and his family. So that was him. So for this person, it wasn't just salary. It was the role itself, and he wanted to pursue that. So I think that's really interesting. He accepted the risk, spoke about it with his family, acknowledged the current situation. So these are the things that he was thinking through: career progression, salary, safety, what was right for his family. So that's a very personal decisions. You could argue very strongly the other side to all of them. And then this leads me on to my second, is I spoke to someone else, and this person, this is on the flip side now. So same market, same opportunity, different role, different company, completely different decision. So I was another guy based in London, single, really hungry for a fresh start, plateaued, hadn't kind of been promoted for a while. It was difficult to get into that next leadership role for this person. There was one role, many layers below. So wanted to start to accelerate his career. You see a lot of people like that. It's really hard to get that next step up. And they were halfway through an interview process for a fantastic role in the UAE, solid company, progression, coming from the UK with the income tax rates and stuff. Almost too too much to turn down. Like, it was really, really compelling. Super excited about it. Dynamic, tax-free, safety, ability to reset, build momentum in their career and stuff. But here's where we got to, which is really interesting. And then, so February 28th, things started in the UAE, in the region. Although single, has a wider family, parents, siblings, and things like that. And they sat down and they talked it through. Do you really want to take this opportunity? Think it through. And in the end, they decided to withdraw from the interview process. And looking back, they said it felt like the right call for them. I spoke to them last week. Not because the opportunity wasn't great. The opportunity is still there. But they pulled out, and they felt, although they were single, they still have a wider family. And they just didn't feel comfortable with it right now. So for this person, it wasn't a no forever. So it's a not right now. And that was right for them. I think with a lot of this stuff is no one can tell you what to do. No one can predict the future. The future is not yet written. But with something so emotive, something so current, it's very difficult to, I think you've got to make the decision yourself. You can go seek advice, obviously, do all the rarest reading and stuff, but ultimately you've got to do what feels comfortable. And connecting the two stories for me, just even more. Here's what I noticed about these two examples. So same market, same opportunity, completely different decisions, and both made sense for their situation, which I think is really important. Like Hong Kong Exec moved because it was a senior role for them, family supported it, it's a multi-year career play, financial security, and willing to bet on the long-term future of the UAE trajectory. The London candidate paused. Key thing, family. I think they were willing to go, but their family wasn't comfortable with it. And it was important for them that their family were comfortable for it. And they are going to stick in their current role and then see what happens. Both were completely valid decisions. And so if you are thinking about moving right now, or thinking about pulling out, or whatever your situation is, how do you actually decide? I think there's a lot of people I speak to, they can't decide. Like, I'm not sure. So here's what I'm noticing from the people that I speak to. And I'm going to give you some questions to ask yourself. It's important. So number one here, is the role itself non-negotiable to your career? So like this Hong Kong leader, they felt it was just too good to turn down. Was it just a good opportunity? And actually, there'll be another one that comes up. Second is, like, do you have family, wife, husband, partner, children? You're not just deciding for yourself, you're deciding for your family, and there's a knock-on effect to your decision. So are they happy with your decision? I think you will have to agree. Or are you willing to, you believe so strongly on it, you'll be willing to fight against the people that care about you and that you care about? And then what's your risk tolerance? Be honest with yourself. Don't just be brave. What's your timeline? Can you defer it? Can you wait and see what happens? Might there be better opportunities in 6 months or so? I think you've got to really think that through. So, I think you've got to have a good, salary, yeah, fine. Job, career progression, fine. But you've got to have some, a few good reasons why to move. So, think about through the career progression, family safety, finance, location, geopolitical risk. You're willing to deal with those things. And then, you're just going to go through, write it down, go pen and paper. Don't just ask your favorite LLM, but really think it through. Seek advice from the people that you trust most and that your decision will also affect. And if you decide to go, don't pretend the risk doesn't exist. Make sure you have financial cushion, you've got a good support network, you're speaking to folks, your company's supporting you, you know what you're getting yourself into. And hey, look, if you decide it's not for you, whether this is moving to the UAE or moving to another country, you need to pause. If you need to pause, you need to pause. And you might miss out on that opportunity, but there's always going to be something else that comes up. So you have to be strategic about it, be clear on your decision making, think things through, and explain it explain to the people that your decision is affecting. If you're pulling out of something, again, be really clear why. You don't want to burn bridges. You want to explain things in a concise way. And I think if it's done appropriately, people will respect your decision, respect the fact that you've explained it to them. And I think that's important. So my kind of final take on all of this is, for me, I think the UAE is still an incredible opportunity. I'm excited to see where that country and the region more broadly goes to. The hiring is real there. The opportunity for career growth, to earn money, all of that I think is incredible, and I see that continuing. There is a geopolitical risk for sure. There's currently a conflict going on there, so let's see where that leads to. I hope for everyone involved it's going to be a positive outcome. So I think with all of these global career moves, and I've been moving people around the world for coming up to 20 years now, you got to do what's right for you. Everyone's in a different scenario. Everyone thinks about things differently. Everyone's risk tolerance is different. You're in different, you might be in different sectors. Your sector might involve moving around. It might involve staying. So you have family. There's a lot of things to think through. So I would say do that in the right way. Take a moment to think things through. And if you do that, I'm sure you'll make the right decision for yourself. And I think it's a huge strength to change your mind if new information comes to light. There's always, things are moving at incredibly quick pace nowadays in the world. And a decision that might be right today might be different tomorrow. And so just take a moment, think things through carefully, and I'm sure you will end up making the right decision for you. Hope that's helpful. Please like and subscribe, comment, let me know what you think about these things, and I will see you all soon.